The AV Life is brought to you by our wonderful sponsors, Audinate, Crestron, Panasonic, and Sennheiser. Thank you so much for your support.
Greetings from Kansas City. This is Renee Benson at AV Renee KC. You are listening to and watching the AV Life.
Hey, this is Nancy Blanchard with Williams AV. And where is Nancy? Well, this week I'm in Boston and actually at the airport on my way out to England for meetings. So you're listening to and watching the AV Life.
Coming at you from Southern California. This is Murphy Daily at Written by Murphy. I'm a AV veteran project manager, and I'm happy to be with you. You're joining us for the AV Life.
James King here, writer for the Higher Ed Digital Magazine, IT and AV column. HEPMA board member. Again, Google me, you'll find me, and you are watching and listening to the AV Life.
And I'm your host, Tim Van Wert, coming at you from the great state of New Jersey. HEPMA board member, contributor to higheredav.com. I'm just out there, and you are watching and listening to the AV Life. All right. Welcome,
you heard
everybody.
It, people. Tim is out there.
I'm just out there. Yeah, I feel like I'm out there tonight. So that's
right.
I gotta bring myself out back down to earth, you know. So
Nancy's spinning around.
Nancy was spinning around. Yeah, Nancy was sideways a little bit there. Yeah. So if you're watching us on YouTube, so if you're there, you should like it, subscribe, and follow. You know, make sure you catch up to everything we got going on there. We had Nancy kind of doing some circles there with her camera.
It's not easy when you're on the road, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I know. I will say, yeah, and that's been, I will say that's been like the story of your lives. And I've talked to other vendors, and you know, travel is like way, way up, it feels like. And
Hooray.
Actually our guest our guest here tonight could I'll probably also talk to that a little bit as well, since he abandoned the higher ed world and left to the corporate world.
He's throwing down.
Oh yeah, we're throwing it down. I got to make up a little bit for Joe not being here,
right?
You know, just a little bit. You know, so, ladies and gentlemen, introducing Mr. Jimmie Singleton, knit with CDWG.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here. I'm excited. I haven't done AV Life. I think since I was in high ed, it's been a long time. Right. So I'm excited to be back and
many changes.
Yeah. Before I was a traitor.
While you were out,
well, you're acknowledging it at least. So you know you left us, and you know. But it's all right, Jimmy. We still love you, and we still So. But yeah, I mean, so Jimmy, I mean, could you, from your perspective, does it seem like travel is back up? Like,
yeah, I would say we had a lot in like the first quarter of the year. We were all over the place. I traveled every month for multiple weeks out of those months, and then kind of coming into, I don't know, I think there's like the looming economic recession that everybody's talking about, that I think we might be manifesting at this point if we keep talking about it.
Stop talking about it.
Yeah, I feel like we're jinxing it.
Wait, Jimmy. You have moved away, as Tim mentioned, from higher ed.
Yeah.
And you're now with this very large company, CDW. But what do you do for CDW?
What do I do? That's a great question. I'm an education AV field solutions architect at CDW. So I cover the entire nation. But my goal is, my role is kind of sales enablement, helping our account managers know how to talk about AV, help our customers. I'm a free value add to our customers to talk about anything AV. My focus is the classroom, but I branch outside of that into, we do large DV LED and outdoor signage and all that kind of stuff too. So I cover quite a bit now, it's still really cool. I get to work with education customers across the country. I talk to a lot of different people, but I still get to kind of branch out of education a little bit and work on the corporate side of the house.
Well, you
or-
definitely had the experience for that, right? Coming from a school like USC for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
I think that's why they chose me. It's a good
it's a good
thing to
fit.
throw out.
Mhm.
Although I'm glad that Joe's not here to give you a big hard time for being your
Yeah.
traitor self, but
It's I do miss high ed though.
Yeah.
There is something about, I don't know, it's cool now to be back on a campus, when you go walk on a campus, but I think that's the coolest part of working in high ed is that you're on campus every day. I think it keeps you young and alive, because you're just with a bunch of 18-year-olds all day, that are just figuring out how to approach life. And it's really cool to kind of be there for that part of their life.
Well, it's funny because 2 or maybe 3 weeks ago now, I was at a university and I was walking room or building to building kind of to see where all the Sony was installed and all that jazz and taking pictures. And I was like, man, I feel old. It had been a lot of years since I had to walk a campus like that, and around. So, but you're right, keeps you young, and it's so cool to see the technology and what classrooms are doing compared to when this old goat was in college. So it's pretty cool to see.
My town is a college town here in Claremont, California.
Mhm.
And so up the road, they've been doing commencement things. Maybe they're done. I don't remember if it's this week or next. Well, it is Thursday, so it's probably this weekend. They're doing things. So there is a set. It's got a little business, lots of restaurants and a few little chichi shops. Surprisingly, the college students don't leave their compound. They stay with one another. I hardly ever see them, which is possibly because I go to bed and they don't. I probably don't. I'm home by 10, right? And that's probably when they start. So I may never see them.
They just
That's
woke
fine.
up, Murphy.
That's
They're
fine.
not.
But,
Exactly.
But at this time of year, the parents come in and the parents go to all the chichi shops and they're the ones that buy all the things. And this is for the village, I think, their version of Black Friday. That's when all the expensive things happen because the parents with the wallets come in and shop with their kids and buy whatever, clothing and jewelry and whatever else they get for one another. I'm like, oh yeah. So it's frightening. It's like our town's equivalent to the Super Bowl or something.
They probably get like a good surge at the very beginning of the school year and at the end.
Yeah, when the kids
like
drop off. And then there's the other thing that happens. And all the people around are like, okay, you guys start signing up, tell each other what you want, because all the students are gonna ditch their dorms real soon and they have to get rid of all their stuff. They don't get to store it. So they're like, any type of things you maybe want, let us know. We'll try to, because we're, it's a college / hippie town. And so they want, they're like, hey, if you need bean bags or something. Actually, I should ask for that. Now I think of bean bags. Like that. Anyway, beanbag chair or whatever else, lamps, start asking now because it'll just dump it. And rather than send it to a landfill, people will happily descend. And
yeah.
I was gonna say bulk trash night must be a wonderful time in that town. Yeah, just drive along and grab things off the curb. Yeah.
Yeah.
Making my mental note to go to Claremont and pick up beanbag chairs right now.
Bring a truck and just drive around.
People do that, but now it's getting organized. So anyway.
Well, you are right, Murphy. This is commencement time as all of higher ed is starting to, say goodbye to our seniors. And, it's that time of year too, like when you start getting sad about the student techs who have been with you for 3 or 4, 4 years, like the very few that have gone like a full 4 years, you managed to grab them as freshmen. And, we actually had like 2 graduates this year, and they were from the help desk, and it's like, it's a big stab in the heart of like, now what are we gonna do? Like they were the ones you could count on at the help desk to be, the go-to. So
sometimes they come back though, you never know. Sometimes they end up employed. That's
I think it's cute that you said all 4 years. 4.
Well, yeah, I mean, because it still could be 4 years. They may have waited till like sophomore or junior year, then they're still 4 years in.
Yeah.
The one she did get her master's. She was in a like a 5-year program or 6-year program or whatever it was to get her master's too. So she got that. So but yeah, so I've seen all the posts from all of our other higher ed folk on Twitter that like they had some of their commencement exercises last weekend. Rutgers is coming up this Sunday on Mother's Day. So oh yeah, happy Mother's Day to all of our AV moms out there.
AV
So
moms, isn't that AV family, AV moms?
AV
Yeah.
AV family, AV moms. Yeah, sorry, my brain, like I knew Mother's Day was coming up, but with the release of this episode, it didn't. It was like, oh wait a minute, that's actually gonna have happened.
The force left you. I mean, last week.
after last week, and that's why I'm out there. I was still out in outer space before, in a galaxy far, far away. So it's
Oh my God, you guys, I have been so enjoying going back to the 90s, into the future of the 90s, and rewatching one of my favorite sci-fi shows, Babylon 5. I don't know if anybody knows it, if anybody remembers it. I'm doing a shout out. So good. It's it was the first one that did this arc, and all 4 years there's this arc, and I'm like, oh, I remember it being good. I remembered it the whole time because you couldn't get it for a long time because they did 5 years so that it could be syndicated, and they pushed really hard to do it. So the last 2 years it got really hard to find, but then they had it. Now you can see it for free on the app Tubi, Tubi. And there's some commercials like regular TV used to have, or they probably still do. I forget. Anyway, so I've been watching it as I'm recuperating, and it's fantastic. I'm like, oh, I love it. Who are you? What do you want?
As I say, yeah, I haven't thought about that. I caught a couple episodes here and there, but but I knew of it. Like, and I knew, yes, it has almost a cult following, almost like Firefly. There you go. You want to talk about, yeah.
It had a following, but no one can find it, so they couldn't follow it anymore. I'm letting you know. You heard it here. Yeah.
Tubi.
Yeah. Tubi's the place. This is a sponsored ad for Tubi.
Yeah, I know. This is anyone from Tubi's marketing team.
Being that it's free, I'm happy to share. I'm like, this is our secret. They have silly commercials, which I know too well. Again, like commercials used to be. I'm like, oh yeah, they forget what toothpaste and dog food and something else.
I was gonna say it'd be even great if they were 90s commercials. So
those
are some great.
No, and I'm also going, wow, we used to do our makeup like that. Oh yeah, more eyeliner.
More things to make us feel older.
Aliens. Nah, I'm okay with it. I'm like, hey.
Yeah,
I was just saying that because I'm a 90s kid too. Like I'm about to hit my 25th reunion this year, 1998. So, and yeah, I don't think anything's happening though, because I haven't heard squat. So, but yeah, that's amazing. It's wild to think it's been like a quarter century since I graduated high school. And I'm sorry if I'm making other people feel old while I say that, but
no,
I ain't sorry. We've lived a good life. We're still living more.
Yeah,
the AV life.
The AV life. Yes. It's good to have you back too, Murphy, by the way.
It's so good to have you back, Murphy. Yeah. We're so happy to see you.
Yeah. So
yes.
Every day it will get a little bit better. That's what we're hoping for.
Hope so. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So Jimmie, I'll ask you now, took a sip as I'm about to ask you something. So
getting ready.
You did your time.
Got kicked out.
Yeah, I know, she got kicked out. Nancy got kicked out of her little spot at the airport. So I don't know if we're gonna get Nancy back.
It's because she drank that wine too quick. They were like, we gotta get this lady out of here.
No, so she's done. Get her out.
Yeah.
Gotta milk it to stay in your seat.
Go home, but you can't stay here.
So over it's been a little over a year since you left USC and have now been with CDWG. I mean, aside from the obvious of going from higher ed to corporate, what was the biggest, I guess, learning curve for you?
I think it was not the high ed to corporate side of it. I worked at a very large high ed, so it wasn't like it wasn't like I came from like the mom and pop school. Like USC very much runs like a full-fledged Fortune 500 business. It's the way they operate, the way purchases are done, everything is very structured. So that wasn't too weird. I think it was going from the customer to the like dealer side of it. That was probably the biggest difference of just like finally understanding like how product gets from one place to another. It was always, I think in high ed, we're always like, well, why can't I just buy, why can't I call Renee and say, I want a projector and she just drops it off, and there's a whole
Brought
channel.
to you by Sony.
Yeah, brought to you by Sony. If you want a camera or something, it's like, why can't you just buy it? So like the whole channel system and like how product gets from warehouse and manufacturing from outside the country, into the country, it gets stored in a warehouse and then it gets resold. But there were just so many more people involved than I ever thought.
I
And I was
thought
like,
sausage just came this way.
yeah, I thought it was just there. So that was really surprising. That was probably the biggest shift for me. Was like, there's a lot of legwork. And I think it makes you appreciate your vendor and partners and stuff like that a little bit more. When you're like, oh yeah, these people are running around with their heads cut off trying to get something done for you. So if I went back to being a customer, I'd be very appreciative of everybody who's on the other side of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's good to hear, because it's a ton of, I've been on both sides, right? I was kind of on the reseller side and the disty side. Now I'm on the manufacturer side. It is tough work. It is really tough work because you're providing solutions, you're not just selling a box to somebody, right? You're still trying to make solutions come together for whatever your customer needs. And it's tough. And and you're in a world that you're seeing now where now you're really competing, right? Because you do have, especially where you're located, the integrator partners that are in your area, and you've got to set yourself above the guy down the street. And it's the same on the manufacturing side, right? Like I'm constantly battling the top 2 or 3 people of us that are up here in my neck of the woods. And it's a lot of work. So yeah, I could see, I'm glad you said that, because we hope that our customers do appreciate that we're all here to make money too, but we're also here to provide solutions and have a common goal. And it's just tough. It's competitive.
That peek behind the curtain is really interesting.
Yeah. If it wasn't for the fact I was on this podcast, I probably would have had no idea how much you all struggle with that part of your job. Like that, it's just a constant, like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Like, it's like, oh, I placed that order 18 months ago. It's like, because unfortunately that's a legitimate lead time nowadays. It's like, well, this is what's happening. And I was just saying, Jimmie, not that I'm going to downplay, I'm not meaning this to downplay like what you're doing, Renee, but like with CDWG, you have a lot of product. Like there is so many, like from itty bitty cables and adapters all the way up to the large format displays and, like everything. And that's not, and I'm also kind of semi-plugging for CDWG as well, because we have punch out. I have punch out on our marketplace to be able to just buy things from CDWG. So it's almost dangerously easy to just like, okay, you got it.
Well, keep doing it.
That's not stopping. So it's
it's really interesting because we sell so much more too, which is like I only cover AV. But like they're an IT reseller, so they sell network switches and data and Wi-Fi and all these access points and stuff like that, things that are just way outside of my wheelhouse that I don't deal with all that much. So it's always really interesting. We have a team for everything, which is I think another like shock is like I'm just an AV resource, but there's hundreds of others of me that are all different skill sets, and we don't talk to each other. We have like 14,000 employees or something. And
there's this cool thing that you can do. You can have a video conference.
it's
Try that
amazing.
with 14,000 people.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
14,000. But it's interesting because we have so many people, and you know, when you tell someone you work at this company, they're like, "Oh, do you know whoever?" And I'm like, "I have no idea
Yeah.
who that is."
Yeah.
I know 200 of these people. That's it.
Yeah. Hey, I'm in the same boat now when I came to
Yeah.
Sony, you know,
Yeah,
and
massive
actually
company.
Sony's
they had
enormous.
yeah, and they had an onboarding call with, I think everybody hired that month maybe or something. And I was like, we make semiconductors, you know, and there was a bunch of people from the semiconductor division and this division. And I was like, oh, I don't know what I got myself into. This place is a behemoth of a company.
Yeah.
Where
yeah,
I
it
came
was-
from was not, you know, so it was just
Mm.
like, wow. So
No,
definitely
yeah,
feel
what-
your pain there.
Yeah. So yeah, all right. So I'm ignorantly downplaying you. Good Sony. Yeah, Sony makes a lot of different products. Like there are a lot of
Yeah.
different, like that. Yeah.
Like
So,
Jimmy, like I have access to this many of them, right? And then, I mean,
mhm.
obviously, you go to the movie theater, it's you know, created by a Sony camera. You're watching the Big 12 championship, and it's Sony
Mhm.
camera, you know, all sorts of Sony things.
And
I'm
don't
like,
forget the PlayStation.
in the
Yeah, don't
PlayStation,
forget,
like,
yeah.
we
The
do
whole
that.
gaming
I'm like, oh,
yeah.
that's cool. I wonder what, you know, and I'll get a call every once in a while. I was like, can you get this? I'm like,
I
I'm
was
gonna have
gonna
to call you
say,
back. I'm sure I can. I just don't know where to get that from. There's a division for that, right? It's kind of like
so
there's an
you're
app
the
for
one
that.
I got. So you're the one I got to talk to get a PlayStation 5. Okay, now I know.
Yeah.
I'm sure I can get that somewhere. I have no
Look
idea.
at her. She says yes. That's who she is.
Yeah.
Find a way.
She
Find a
doesn't say,
way.
I have no idea.
Oh, I'll find a way.
That's funny.
All right. So here's another question for you, Jimmy. If you could take one piece, or if there is a piece of higher ed and bring it over to corporate, what's missing for corporate
Ooh.
that you would like to bring from higher ed?
Understanding customers, I think, is probably a good one. I
Okay.
think especially high ed is a really interesting one, because we call on the reseller side or even the manufacturer side, we call you, Tim, a customer, which you are our direct customer,
Technically, yeah.
but you're not the end user. And so we always assume end users are just like, you know, clumped in together. I wish more people on the reseller manufacturer side of it understood that the people actually using the technology that's going in are, you know, faculty who have no idea what it is, or could probably care less about what, you know, whether a projector is 5,200 lumens or 5,400 lumens. It doesn't make a difference to them.
Yeah.
They just want it to work and they want to not think about it. That's
Yeah.
what I bring over, is kind of that closeness to the customer, which I think a lot of companies do a really good job if they have like an education sector, or, you know, account managers who also cover education, of getting on campus and like seeing how a school works. I think it's really hard to try and sell to someone when you have no clue how their day-to-day life is on campus. So when you can go and
100%.
see faculty using technology, and like, I don't know, we get this all the time where like, you go to Infocom, you see something cool, you purchased one, you bring it back, you put it in front of faculty, and they're like, I hate this. I don't want to use this at all. Or
Yeah.
you have a really hard time with adoption and stuff like that. You know, that's the part that manufacturers don't see, is like, okay, why is it not working for them? What's the
Yeah.
issue here? Because to us, it all just seems cool, right? We all work in technology. I'm like, yeah, I want a gigantic TV that's touchscreen. That looks really cool. But then when you put it in a classroom, they're like, I just want to put my PowerPoint up. I don't care. It's a completely different scenario. So yeah, that's what I would bring over, is kind of that closeness to the actual user. Obviously, we want to be close to tech managers because you're making the decisions, but there is a closeness to the actual people that's missing when you're away from it.
Right.
I agree with that.
Yeah, because unfortunately, that's the tech manager and the installers, or the in-house you know, installer. They're that almost a barrier. Yeah, like you said, like it's like you don't have access to the end user, because, you know, we have the access to the end users. Like, so it almost falls on us to make sure that we are always aware of what is happening, so that way we make your job a little bit easier as well. So,
yeah. it's kind of like in corporate, you talk to the people who are using the conference room. It's not, they normally don't have a tech manager who's, maybe they have an IT person in the building, but normally you're talking to the people who are the actual users. But in high ed and K-12 too is, very, very much there's a middleman in between us and the actual end user. And so that's where we have to push back on like the tech managers and be like, have you talked to faculty about this before you go and implement 200 of them?
And that's one thing I do love about my new position is that it's very end user, customer facing focused position. So I'm going to Denver in a couple of weeks. And thank you, Tim, for switching some of the dates around. But I'm going to Denver in a couple of weeks, and half of my appointments are with my integrator partners, and the other half, ironically, are all higher ed customers. And I'm like, no, I'm excited to get to their campus and meet them, not only because it's a new territory and I need to meet them, period, but they usually take you around and show you what they're doing. Hey, this is the space we're trying to work with. And it gives you a different perspective than, okay, we have this room and we want to edge blend this and do this. It gives you a different perspective. So I'm really excited to do that. And I think you're right, to get you closer to your customer and
it gets
see what they're doing.
Close to the product you sell, right? Like I don't always I work off of spec sheets most of the time. I'm entirely disconnected from it. I'm like, in theory, this should work. What I'm giving you should work. I don't know for sure though. But I've been the customer on that end where you get all the equipment and you plug it in and you're like, I don't know why it's not working, but it's not. And there's always something, drivers, firmware, all that kind of stuff that affects those things, but you just don't know until you actually do it.
That pings something in a conversation I had with my neighbor. We were talking, she's a teacher. She and her husband are both teachers. And she had a fancy, best in class clothes washer installed, a Speed Queen, I hear, because we've been talking, suburban people are like, well, my washer isn't. Anyway,
you guys have a town hall for washers and dryers.
Not exactly, but when you see each other, you talk about stuff. And she got a new washer, and the people that were doing the installation, I was saying that it's important to continue to, and this is going to segue a little bit into my PM minute in a second. But it's important to teach kids how to read books, and that now, it used to be, oh, kids watch too much TV. Boy, that was a long time ago. Now they're watching videos on YouTube and social media, right? TikTok, whatever. So even now, 20-nothings are coming up and doing this work as they should, so that they can put in equipment. And what they don't go to the written word or schematics, they go to a YouTube video. So you were talking about, you have a schematic, and actually some people really never get used to reading a schematic. And it's good to have like multiple different type of mediums, which is part of what AV is, right? It's a kind of media, but just having the ability to pay attention to the schematic, but also understand what the people need.
James has talked about this before with like the move. The AV is IT, and and AI and all that in technology, of the importance of like being able to have that base knowledge of like troubleshooting, right, is like much more important than knowing something very specific about a product, or knowing a lot about something. If you can't know how to troubleshoot, like that soft skill, then you're lost, right? If you can't read a schematic and figure it out, then that's where you're going to have an issue. So it can't just be automated. Everything can't be automated, because we're going to lose those soft skills.
Right.
Yep. It's the whole thing is everyone wants now the computer to tell them the answer, but how the answer you're getting is accurate and reliable. And it's a sad thing right now in our society that people can't decipher things anymore. Like, I know there was a big thing going around right now in Vegas It has nothing to do with technology, but this all started out in Florida. There was a threat about a school shooting, very vague. They like very vague. But the thing is, and it's making its way across country, and all parents are freaking out, keeping their kids from home from school and stuff. But they can't decipher what's saying. Like if you actually look at it, it talks about a bell schedule that's not a real bell schedule. It's talking at like, oh, the shooting's going to happen at like 3 o'clock when all schools are already over. Like, so they're not like correlating that this is not a credible threat. It's like
So it was a fake out.
Yeah, and like I say, it started in Florida and has made its way across the country, and everyone's falling for it because they don't know how to decipher. They read headlines, quick reaction, and they don't think about the process. Same thing when we're troubleshooting. Like I don't know how many folks right away go to. I use this phrase when I'm talking with my team and my student workers is don't go to the skies falling. Like, don't go right to that. Like, stop, think, let's process what's going on, figure out what's going on right before we jump to, oh no, the sky's falling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't rule out the sky is falling, but
don't roll it out.
Wow.
Don't jump to it.
Yeah, don't
But
jump to it. Exactly.
I think that's kind of, what's happening in our society. I think a lot of people jump to, we jump too far and call out something that maybe isn't there, just because people read it wrong. And we're so sensitive. I think that we've gotten to be really sensitive. And it's like some things that used to be just a warning now are like, oh my God, you're right. The sky is falling. Everybody calm down. We're all going to die in 5 minutes.
we all saw it with and I'm going to be very tiptoey on my words here with the latest politician and court case where they were found not guilty of a criminal act, but they were found guilty on the defamation. And I don't know how many posts I saw say, well, that makes no sense. They're the same thing, but they're not legally the same thing.
Basic troubleshooting, narrow down.
Yeah.
And knowing the difference between what's a criminal act and what's a defamation act and how they apply to court cases and all that stuff. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not going politics there or how you feel about it, because we all can talk forever about that. But it's really, that's what I try to get to is what are they actually saying? What is going on? Don't jump in the headlines. Don't jump to the sky is falling. Process what is saying and learn how things are being handled.
Well, this does lead me a bit into the PM minute I wanted to do.
Take it away, Murphy.
I almost forgot we had a PM minute because you've been gone a few weeks.
I'm just
Been
excited
more than
to
a
be
minute.
here.
Yeah. Hey.
And you get to be a part of it now too, Jimmie.
I'm so excited.
Okay, we need another 45 minutes, Tim. Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
we got 15.
Okay. Well, the PM minute today is inspired by a book that some AV tweet off Twitter recommended. It's called Radical Candor by Kim Scott. And it's really great. And it has to do with communication and being on a team. In particular, this book is about management. And let me tell you, manager is in the title of project manager. So it every year, pretty much, most people in their job have to come up with a review for themselves. And managers, I happen to have people directly reporting to me at this time, so I have to, as a manager, help them with their goals, etc. Some people have, in this book, talks about being ready to be candid and honest and detailed. So, in particular, the part that is striking me right now is I have certain goals and I have a certain personality and I have things that I want to go for. Like most of my career, I've been extremely ambitious, wanting to do more, wanting to climb, wanting to explore, want to try all different things. And that's me. Other people are not me. And so as I'm working with the other people on my team, I have to pay attention to what each individual wants and what they're good at. So I may say, come on, guys, what do you want to do? How do you want to grow? What kind of promotion do you want? And maybe I need to listen and hear whether they even want a promotion. Maybe many people, so valuable people, do not want a promotion. They want to stay doing exactly what they're doing. They love it. They just want to get better and better at it. And they want to do more fun things and be appreciated for what they do. Oh, not everybody is me. So I'm going to say, as a PM Minute, look at the people. I, as a project manager, need to look at the people around me and look at what they want and what they're good at and what their ambitions are, and honor their ambitions for what they are and not assume everybody likes the same thing I like.
I like that. Yeah.
Good one.
So I will say, Murphy, it's interesting. I was having a similar conversation with a coworker, and we deduced something though. Sometimes in order to justify being able to compensate somebody for the work that they're doing when they're taking, they have to take the promotion to get that next level. Because whether it's pay structures and ranges and things like that, you can only go so far to appreciate them in a financial way. And some people want to learn more, they want to take on more, but not necessarily take the responsibility. They just want to get what's the word, they want to grow their toolbox, they want to gain those skill sets. But I mean, it's so, unfortunately, it seems like nowadays the structure does not allow for that to happen. And then you get employees who get frustrated because they want to learn more. Management wants them to learn more, but they don't want to pay them more to do those things. So
that's a flaw in the system. Yeah.
It's a big flaw in the system.
Because
it's interesting because there's not it being like an individual contributor to a role or to a company is normally fine, right? And you can do fairly well. And a lot of the money comes with like management, as you move up, but then you have to take on the responsibility of being a people leader and all that, which is a completely different job. You can be a great individual contributor and be wonderful at the job and be a terrible manager. That's very possible. And you're either into people leadership or you're not. But it's kind of hard unless you're in like, really, I think the only organizations that can allow an individual contributor to make more than a manager is a sales organization, where you get rewarded for selling more, right? For being ambitious and being a really good individual contributor. But every other category is like, you are really limited by either you're a people leader and make more money, or you're out of luck.
Yeah.
In AV, an individual contributor that is incredibly good at what they do and very much in demand can break away and create their own business. And that can often happen. So like, for example, if you're so good at what you do as an individual contributor and you can't bust out of the confines of that title, you're bumping up against the possibilities of earning more, but you're really good. Theoretically, that would mean you're faster at what you do, right? So you could then step out and become for hire. And that's the way that you could make more money. And because you're better at it, you can do it faster and maybe could sell your time and have more time for yourself. That's one way that is common.
That's true. Yeah. So go ahead, James, you were saying?
So the problem with that line of thinking, the old school line of thinking, and how society is built is everyone feels that money is a motivator. Money is a motivator to a certain point. Once your basic needs are met, money really doesn't always become a motivator. Sometimes it's the life-work balance. Sometimes it's benefits. Sometimes it's savability. Like there's a lot of other factors that play a role, but we always jump right to, oh, we're going to pay you for this. We're going to get you more money because we feel that money is the sole only motivator. And Murphy's right. If you are a top performer, you could go out on your own and start your own business and be a for hire. But then you get into the whole conundrum that Jamie was talking about is there are some people who could be like, I'll just say, take this for example. I could be an outstanding programmer, but I can't deal with people. I can't run a business. I can't, but I'm a great programmer. So me breaking out on my own and being a programmer is probably taking a skill set that's not something in my wheelhouse. So I need someone who's a good business leader. I need someone who is a good people leader. So not always breaking out is a option. Sometimes we got to stop thinking, oh, money's the only motivator, and find out what really motivates your employees once their basic needs are met.
And what really at the end of the day, what makes you happy? Does it make you happy that you get to, for people who have to go back in the office, that I get 2 days at home, I can stay at home for 2 or 3 days and I have this, or I have this benefit, or you get Fridays off once a month, or whatever it might be. You have to decide what's your
not just happy. I mean, because happy is one thing, but also there are some really serious obligations that people have in families. They may be like,
absolutely,
I have to take care of sick family members, or I have a special needs child and I have to be there at certain times and I can't move around that. And then it becomes like money isn't even a thing.
Right.
Money is like low on the list.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
I don't know each person's list. It's up to them to tell me what they got to do.
Yep.
Well, we all have our own list, right? Yeah. James and I were saying the same thing at the same time.
And those times change.
Basic needs.
And and like the needs that I have today aren't the needs I had 4 years ago before I had a special needs grandchild and a single father son, right? Like my needs have changed in my family too. But I think that, and everybody has to kind of learn that lesson on their own, right? I think I probably went through that phase years ago where I was chasing a dollar. Like, oh my gosh, if I go here, I'm a struggling single mom. I could make X amount more dollars. Our lives would be a lot better. Well, wait a minute. You're working 2 more hours at night, not being with your child, whatever. So everybody has got to find it for themselves, and make the choice for themselves.
Right. And I think we even talked about
just one thing for the managers listening and anybody responsible for people. It can be really scary for that individual who's trying to balance all the things that they need, and they need it so desperately they're even afraid to ask, right?
Yeah.
So being the
100%.
type of manager who can listen and ask and notice and be more than just, I'm very interested in the bottom line, just like, okay, what are your tasks? What do you got to do? Like, wait, how are you doing? Not just what do you got to do, but how are you doing? And figuring that out and being candid, being open and being human, so that you don't crush that person. You'll get better output from that person if that person isn't trying to hide what's going on.
Exactly.
And also you'll have a loyal person who we feel like we got each other's back and we can work it out. And that's really valuable. Not to lose people, because it's a big deal to lose people in your team.
Yeah.
So
and one of the things we talked about on when I recorded with Britt on the Brave Space is being your authentic self. like, be yourself, be your authentic self. And you shouldn't be afraid to be your authentic self. And you should be able to have a management team that understands, I've got this thing, but I'm going to get to my goal. Like, I have my own way to get there. I'm going to get there. And I'm sure, Jimmie, you understand, we have goals, you have numbers, right? But you have a life too. So we've got to find the balance of, we need, this is a priority to me, but this is too. So we're going to find a way to make the two come together. And having that, what do you call it? Open door policy, I guess, right? That you can go to, or stair step if you need to go above your manager and it's an open door policy and you chat about it, just to get everybody on the same page. I think open communication and being yourself is so important. So important.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And that's like, I kind of have that with my boss right now. Like, I tell him everything that's going on that way, because that explains how my performance is, it explains my mood. Like, it's like, I don't want to be, I don't like to be closeted about those sort of things, and that's not healthy anyhow, to keep that sort of stuff locked away. And, so yeah, the open communication is key. And I think that's, hopefully you have a manager that is open to that communication as well.
See, to be fair, I also don't like it when a manager butts in and is like, how are you doing? And gets all like cloying at me. I'm like, stop that. Don't get up in my business more than you need to.
Mm-hmm.
I think,
like, I don't
well,
Well,
want
they
to
should be
have
It's
to-
all out of love, I'm sure.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
Well,
But they also
fine
need to be
lines.
able to
saying,
read.
as an individual,
Right.
as
Fine
like
lines.
we're talking about, I'm not super cool with that. I'm like, hey, I do want to talk about the tasks,
Yeah.
that stuff. And
Mhm.
so each person is different. So
Yeah.
having like a blanket statement,
That's true. Every
Fine,
situation is
but-
going to
Right.
be unique.
Oh yeah.
individuals.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Everyone's got to, you're, as a manager, you have to be able to read your team and be able to know who you could have those conversations with and who you can't. Like,
Yeah.
so, and obviously everyone processes things differently as well. So that's just,
And also, I don't
Yeah.
love going blah, 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 on and on about some dumb thing. I'm like, oh, guys, come on. Can we not? We touched that 10 minutes. We're done.
all
Anyway.
right. Well, that was a great one, Murphy, as always. Thank you for that.
Always.
And then we missed that. Definitely missed those PM
We did.
minutes. So yeah.
I'm
All
glad
right,
to be here
well-
for a whole show with y'all.
Yes, definitely. Yay. All right. Well, I think we'll wrap things up here. Just a little some last little things. Jimmie, I know we kind of talked a little bit beforehand. CDW does not have a booth at Infocom, but you guys are making and gals are making your presence known at Infocom, though, right?
Yes, we will have our team, specifically the AV for Education team. There'll be 4 of us from that team, and then
Cool.
a lot of our partner program team, who actually manages our vendor partners. So the people that Renee talks to, probably at CDW, to keep product flowing. So they'll be there as well. So really good group overall from CDW, and we'll be there to learn about what's new, what's exciting, and then talk to our customers too.
All right. Well, that means you're definitely going to be stopping by the HETMA booth, because
I'll be there. I'll be there probably too much.
Yeah.
Well, and that's booth 4489, in case anyone was wondering. So, and like we talked about, it's right. It's a couple booths back from the Avixa Exchange Live booth. So that's kind of could be your point of reference as to where we are. So come back, see us. I'm gonna basically be there probably too much as well, Jimmie. So don't worry. I have put in a request to my team to be like, okay, where do I need to go for us, just so that way I could get away from the booth a little bit. But for the most part, I will be there. We will be recording there as well. We have a little podcast booth set up there for recording. So we will be trying to release one every day while we're there. So yeah, it's gonna be exciting. I feel like I'm stepping up my game from last year's Infocom. So it's yeah, and HETMA is making a big splash as well. So it's
It'd be fun.
Yeah. And yeah, come look for the navy blue t-shirts with the surf theme on the back. You're not gonna be able to miss us. And if things keep getting purchased the way they're going to be purchased, you'll definitely you won't miss us at all in the back there. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
So I'll plug Sony 1701.
There you
Find
go.
us at the front. There we go. Looking forward to seeing everybody.
All right. Yeah. So 1701. Wow, you guys are like on the other side of the floor.
I know. So when I leave our recording for my customer booth tour, I'm going to have to map it and go, okay, I have to leave 17 minutes early to get the walk in.
Ooh. Yeah, and I'm seeing who your neighbor is too. Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Is there competition?
There is competition.
Well,
about two
all
booths.
of us big guys are all kind of together.
They always pack you in there. Sony's always got a really good booth though.
Oh my God, this year it's going to be so great. So many different vignettes with different partners, and it's going to be really great. And I'm going to be learning a lot, so it makes me happy. And yeah.
And you're going to have a fresh new shirt.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I do.
Shirt, yeah.
3 new ones. And we get to wear tennis shoes.
Oh, great! Even better.
Wow.
Yeah, I gotta step up my my sneaker game this year, I think. So
yeah,
I'm even, unfortunately we won't be seeing our AV shoe queen there, but
I think, Tim, you're gonna have to give your sneakers bow ties.
Ooh. I
Oh,
might have to do some research on that. I'll have to see. Yes, that may have to happen.
Little collar around the ankle with a bow tie.
Yeah, get you a couple cat collars with a bow tie. You're set.
Jimmie, thanks for being here. So great to see you again.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad to come back anytime. If you ever need a spot to fill, I'm always happy to.
Joe is usually out vendor managementing, so if you ever want to join, just come on in.
Yeah. Well, next time I'll do it from a dinner with Joe or something like that.
There you go.
He's managing.
Because if he was on when you're on, Tim would totally lose control of the show because he would steal it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it would be. Yeah, it would just be the two of you.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So yeah, Jimmie, just let everybody know, like, so if you're in need of some AV technology solutions from CDWG, where can they find you?
Yes, if they want to talk to me, I'm on Twitter at Jimmie_Singleton, or I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me there. If you reach out to CDW, I have an email address. It's jimmy.singleton@cdwg.com. But reach out to me anywhere, and I'm always glad to put you in touch with the right people or talk through anything AV. I talk with a lot of manufacturers and learn about what's out there, so I'm always glad to make recommendations.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much, Jimmie. Pleasure to have you, and it's been a while, and glad to have you here. To the crew, thank you so much. And Murphy, yes, definitely great to have you back as well. And as I always say, till our next adventure.